Yo, how's it going, folks? It's me again, your boy Tavo, and this is another lesson on SVG for the web. And today we're going to start learning how to create SVG shapes using JavaScript. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so I've already got a file for you here ready. So all I'm going to do then is just basically start creating an SVG element. So how we go about doing that, if you can remember from the last time, since SVG is XML, then you need to have namespace. Otherwise, without the namespace, then it will not be drawn. So the most important thing then is also remember that when you create SVGs, then you can't just do it as you would with any HTML element. Okay, there's a special function that you use in order to create that element. And this is how you go about it. So I'll say let SVG, and then we'll say, okay, first let me close this so that I can switch my back on. Okay, there we go. Okay, we'll say let SVG. Then we'll say document dot create element ns, and then we'll say SVG. Okay, so now this is how you create an SVG element. Usually with HTML you would just say create element, and then you would then state the name of the element that you want to create. But NS is important because without it, yes, JavaScript will not know what the hell you're talking about. Okay, so now that we have our SVG, then we can start then giving it attributes. So we'll say set attribute svg.set attribute, and we want to give it a width, and so I will say 100%. Okay, so I want to then create another attribute. Okay, and this will be height, and I will give this, I'll say 2000. Okay, so now there we go, we have our SVG element, we've got our width and our height. Now that should start working, right? So in order for it to be visible, I will say SVG dot style, and I'll say dot background color, and that will be equal to, I will say beige. I will give it a background color of beige. And then one last thing that you need to do, you need to append it, basically put it into the body because it is not yet inside the HTML body. So then we'll say document dot body dot append child, and then we will say SVG. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's see what that will do. So I will also open this in Explorer, and then we'll see what this looks like on our favorite browser. Okay. Oh, big or nothing. Now, why is that? As you can see here, we've got our script and everything. Yes, why is it not there? Well, the problem is that we've created the element, but we did not create the most important thing, that is the namespace. Without the namespace, nothing will show. So we'll say let ns, standing for namespace, is equal to, and then we'll say http, and I'll say www.w3.org, then we'll say /2000, and then SVG. Okay, so now that we've got this, then this should work. So what we need to here state is we first need to include the ns, and then we can create our SVG. Okay, so this is how that will work. So now we should have something. Let's go. Ah, there we go. We've got our beige SVG canvas. Okay, so now that we've got that, then we can start creating our shapes. Okay, so now we need to go through this again. So this is our namespace, and this is how you create an SVG element, and then you set the attributes. and yes, and then you give it a background color. Well, you don't have to, but this is so that you can be able to see if whether your canvas has been drawn or not. So that is for visibility sake. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's repeat the same method. And what we'll do now is we'll create a circle. So we'll say let circle. Okay, let's say circle 01, just in case you don't know how many circles you might create. Say document dot create element ns, and then use ns once again. So from now on, every element that you create, you will need to include the namespace, otherwise it will not work. Okay, so there we've got our circle. So now we need to then set the attributes for the circle. So we'll say circle dot set attributes. Okay, we will say cx, and we'll make that 10. Okay, so I'll just copy this, and then I will say cy, we'll make that 10 as well. And the other attribute would be radius, so we'll give it a radius of 100. Okay, so that's right, and then we'll fill it with a color. So we'll say circle dot style dot fill, and then we'll make that equal to, let's give it a simple red color. Okay, so let's, okay, last thing that I need to do before I forget is to then append this circle inside our SVG, because at the moment nothing will show. See, nothing has been done there. You see, so now we need to then append it. So what we'll say SVG dot append child, and then we'll say circle. Okay, so now we should be able to see our circle. Oh, no circle. Yeah, my bad. The fault is mine. I said circle here and I actually called it circle 01. Okay, excuse that. So we'll say 01. Okay, so now this should work. Still nothing. Okay, so that was another mistake that I made. Lots of mistakes. Okay, so there we go. So there's our circle here that looks like a huge pizza slice. Okay, so now we're just gonna move it. So I'll just say 600. Now and then over here I will say 150. Okay, so there we go. So here is our circle. For the first time we created a circle. Okay, so now as you can see here, I added the styles and I did it all manually. Okay, using just pure JavaScript. So now what I will do, I will create another style. Okay, so this time I will give it a stroke. Okay, so I'll say stroke, and then we'll make the stroke black. And then another thing that I will do, I'll give it a stroke width. So I'll say stroke width. As you can notice, this is how you would write the style names, because if you use a dash, then yes, this will confuse JavaScript. Okay, so this is how you would write it, but in CSS you would declare it differently. You would use a dash, and then width. That's that. So I will give it stroke width of, I'll say 10. Okay, so there we go. So now you've got a stroke, and then it's very thick. So pretty much, yeah, this is how you would create elements. So the very same method that I applied here, you would use the very same method everywhere. Okay, squash that. So the very same method that I used here, this is what you would use to create any element. But first you need to create the namespace. So from then on, any element that you create, you need to always include the namespace. and the name of the element, and then thus you would do this for each and every shape that you want to create. So if I want to then create a rect, then I will have to do the same thing. First, let me just go back. Okay, so I can say here rect. Okay, so here I'm creating a rect, and then instead I will, okay, squash that, I'll say, and then I'll change the values a bit. I'll say 350. Then I will then give it a width of 100, and let's give it a height. Okay, so now let's just give this one a different color, so we'll say green. Okay, so let's see what that does. Okay, so that didn't work. Yes, it didn't work because I did not append it. I think I did not have my morning coffee. Okay, so I will say rect of 1. Okay, so there we go. That's our rect over there. So that's how that works. Okay, so let's just make it 200 so that it doesn't look so small next to our circle. Yeah, there we go. So yes, this is how you create shapes. So you can just play around with this, you know, see, basically get comfortable with it. That's what I meant. So everything that we've learned previously, you know, you can do all of it using just plain JavaScript. Okay, so what I will do now is I will create an event handler for our circle. So what I will say, I'll say circle01, say dot, let's just say dot on click equals to function. Okay, and then we'll say e dot target dot style, and then dot fill equals to cyan. Okay, so that's it right there. So let's have a look. I'll just refresh. You see, so now I just clicked on it and then it just changed color. So you can add an event handler on it. You can do the same with the rect, of course, with any other element. But yeah, this is the fun about using this. I mean, you can also use a hover state, but using CSS, of course, you don't have to use JavaScript for that. Probably a lot easier that way. But yeah, this is another way that you can go about it. So with JavaScript, then you can create all kinds of cool stuff. I can also remove the stroke, so I can say stroke, and then let's say none. Let's see what happens. Oh, there you go. So change the color and then it removed the stroke. So all kinds of cool stuff that you can create, you know. You can do anything really. You can do drag and drop. You can basically use all of the different event handlers. What else can we do? Let's make it scale. So let's fill dot. Okay, so let's say transform. Okay, let's just translate it. Okay, I think that's the easiest, best way. Well, it's a lot less complicated. So let's translate it. So we want to translate it by 10 units. So okay, I'll say every time that we click on this guy, then it will translate 10 units. Okay, so My bad. This is it moved, but it was probably not visible. Okay, because it was just a small distance. So now I will do this. As you can see, our circle has moved. So it was translated 100 pixels, but it only works once because it only shifts it then 100 pixels, and then from then on when you click, then it will not do it anymore. This is just how it works. It just translates it at 200 pixels, I mean, from where it was, and then from then on it's already there, so it's not going to move any longer unless if it was incrementing. So same as what we did for the circle, we can apply all of this on the rect. And so this is how you would then play around with your SVGs and make everything interactive, create animations using all of this. Now, of course, the smart thing would to not always have to code everything, right? You can, for instance, create your elements like you would using SVG, but then just define them. Then instead, then you can just use them, reference them whenever you need to use them, and therefore you can use code for that. So you can define all your elements and then just reference them. That's all, using the use element. Okay, so this has been the lesson for the day. So today you learned how to create your SVG element, using your namespace, and then how to create it using JavaScript. So this is the DOM. You say document.createElementNS. So you basically do all of this, and you can create any element that you want once you have this secret formula here, which is the create element ns and your namespace. Okay, so without talking too much, I would like to end this lesson here and say, love and peace, my brothers and sisters. Till the next one, I'm out. If you thought this video was good and helpful, please press that like button. For any questions or input, just remember to leave a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to my channel and I'll keep more stuff coming your way.